They told me I was just a stubborn old man clinging to the past. But the past was all I had left, and they stole that from me, too. It started with a fence. A simple, rusted, barbed wire fence that had marked the edge of my family's land for over 80 years. My grandfather built it with his bare hands. My father repaired it after every storm. And I watched that fence disappear, bulldozed without permission, on a Tuesday morning while I was still drinking my coffee on the porch. That fence marked the boundary of the land I inherited, 148 acres of thick Georgia pine, fertile soil, and the dam I built myself when I was 33. A dam that controlled the stream running through my property. It fed the lake, nourished the trees, and kept the lower lots from flooding every spring. And it was all mine. Every inch of it. But they didn't see that. The HOA, Henderson Valley Estates, freshly formed by some high-powered developers out of Atlanta, claimed there had been a clerical error in the county's land maps. According to them, the lower 30 acres, including my dam and the forest around it, had been misclassified as public land. And before I even had a chance to hire a lawyer, they began building 35 homes. 35 perfect little boxes with beige siding, white trim, and fake shutters. They cut down my grandfather's pecan grove. They paved over the wildflower field my wife loved so much. And they poured concrete over the spring where my daughter used to catch frogs when she was 10. I tried everything. I filed an injunction. I showed them old deeds, tax records, even photographs taken by my grandfather in the 1950s. The county told me they'd investigate, but the permits had already been granted. The HOA ignored me completely, sending me formal letters through their attorney, someone named Marcia Klein, threatening to sue me for trespassing if I stepped foot on their development. I was furious. But more than that, I was heartbroken. I lost my wife 2 years earlier to cancer. This land was all I had left of her. We buried her ashes under the oak tree by the lake. Now, that tree stood 50 feet from someone's backyard trampoline. I stopped talking to people. The neighbors I used to wave at now crossed the street when they saw me. Some whispered about the crazy old man in the woods. Kids dared each other to throw rocks at my house. At night, I'd sit in the dark with the lights off and stare at the dam on my camera monitors, listening to the construction hum in the background like a never-ending insult. Until one day, I decided to read every line of every document I ever signed. And that's when I found it, buried deep in a handwritten easement agreement my grandfather signed in 1946. A clause, underlined in pencil, stating, water rights, including dam control and seasonal diversion, to remain with the landholder in perpetuity. I owned the dam. Every screw, every board, every single drop of water it held back. And just like that, I had a choice. For days, I wrestled with it. Could I really do it? Could I open the dam and let the water flood through? Most of those homes had been built on the floodplain, where the pecan grove once stood. They never should have been there. I warned them. The original plans didn't even include a proper drainage system. It would be devastation, lawsuits, news cameras, lives uprooted. But then I thought about my wife. I thought about the way she used to run her fingers through the tall grass. The way she smiled when the wildflowers bloomed in spring. How she cried the day they dug up our daughter's frog pond. And I knew what I had to do. That morning, the sky was dark with autumn rain. I walked out to the dam in my boots, dragging the rusted key from around my neck. My hand hovered over the wheel. I didn't open it all the way. Just enough. A controlled release. I wasn't a monster. But water is a funny thing. Even when it moves slow, it carves deep. By noon, the first homes were ankle deep. By evening, the foundation of 5 houses had started to crack. And by the next morning, the HOA president, a man named Rick Mather, who once called me a bitter relic, was pounding on my front door, soaked and stammering. "Turn it off," he shouted. "You can't do this." "Oh, I can," I said. And I did. They tried everything. Calls, legal threats, even county intervention. But the easement was airtight. I had the right to manage the water. And I did, lawfully. Safely. Slowly. But persistently. Every week. Just a little more. Enough to make the ground soft. Enough to keep them on edge. Enough to remind them that land remembers. It always remembers. 3 months later, the HOA filed for bankruptcy. Most of the homeowners sold for pennies on the dollar. The development was abandoned, left to rot. And I watched it all from my porch, sipping coffee with the same hand that turned the wheel. Eventually, the wild returned. The lake swelled. Frogs came back to the stream. Wildflowers bloomed again. And one spring morning, I planted a new sapling beside the oak tree, right where the trampoline once stood. A magnolia, my wife's favorite. I didn't destroy them out of hate. I let the water flow out of love, for the land, for my family, for the roots that ran deeper than concrete ever could. They built 35 homes on my land. But I had the dam. And sometimes, when you can't make them listen,